The Jackson Civil War muster Maurice Imhoff. Hi, Maurice.
Hi, Bart. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Welcome back.
Always good to be on here.
We're flying through the summer, so we've got
Yes.
Civil War muster traditionally the last weekend of summer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So next week is already the first week of August. As you said, it's flying by pretty quickly, and this year is already gearing up to be bigger than the last 2 years.
All right. So the Civil War muster we know has become over the years. It's the biggest.
Mm-hmm. Based in the Midwest. Yep.
Biggest in the Midwest, and it's probably the longest running.
It is. Yep. So each year we bring about 600 reenactors up. I mean, at one point that was much larger in the early 2000s, but the numbers of reenactors across the country have gone down. But we bring about 17,000 spectators from all across the entire region out to Jackson, to Cascades for this event, and it's been exciting to watch it restart 2022 and continue to grow. The reenacting community has been behind this event for quite some time, and including the community members who come out to it, which has allowed it to thrive.
Now, you yourself are a reenactor, and I believe you've been doing that since you were in middle school.
Yeah, so I got involved when I was 14 years old, and at the Cascades. Believe it or not, never imagined I'd be running the event. But it's been enjoyable. I just got back this weekend from an event out in Hastings, where I was out in uniform in the wool all weekend, and mosquitoes, and sweat, and all. But it's a good time to teach that history and talk about it, especially in this time, right? It's an important time that we look back at our history.
All right, every year you guys focus on some specific things to spotlight. What are you planning on this year?
So this year, once again, we want to tell the Jackson story about Jackson men who left to fight in this war. So we will be talking about the Battle of Deep Bottom. On Saturday will be the Battle of Deep Bottom, the first battle, otherwise known as Strawberry Plains or the Battle of Darbytown. The Union and Confederates both called them different names in some sort of time, sometimes. And then on Sunday will be the second Battle of Deep Bottom, and both tell the story of the 26th Michigan Infantry, which was engaged in the Battle of Deep Bottom.
Jackson and Michigan as a whole sent a lot of men to the Civil War.
Right. Yeah, about 90,000 boys, I mean, you're talking young boys, left to go fight in the war. And you had many boys, young boys, who did not come back to their home state, the Wolverine State. And that's why it's important, that we tell this story. Tell it for the boys who are no longer here to talk for us, right? We are now the people who tell that story and ensure that their sacrifices are not forgotten.
And surprisingly, because a lot of this history has recently been either uncovered or exposed, a lot of black boys and men fought for the North and the South, believe it or not, in the Civil War.
Sure. Yeah, and Michigan sent one regiment, the 1st Michigan Colored Infantry, which turned into the 102nd, all comprised of African-American soldiers. Even you had young men. I mean, I can think of one boy who was 18 years old when he enlisted, who was a slave in Kentucky, who came to Michigan, came back to Jackson, or came to Jackson, say back because it's his first time, came to Jackson, and he enlisted in the regiment and went down to the South to fight for the freedom of others. And think about that. A man who was never free in his life, got his freedom, came to Michigan and was free, but gave that up, really, to enlist in the Army and put his life and freedom on the line to fight for the freedom of others who were still in bondage. That's a remarkable story. We're very excited to be able to have reenactors there who share that story.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you've done a lot of the research that has brought this history to light in just the last few years. I think you're writing a book about it, aren't you?
I am writing a book, yep. So I'm writing a book about, there's no one single history done on that regiment. So I'm currently writing a book. It's taking a bit of time with all the other things I'm involved with. But through all the research I've done, I know there needs to be something put together about it. So I'm very excited.
So the muster is held free. People are invited to come. There's no charge. How do you do that?
Through our incredible sponsors. Our presenting sponsor, Trips Auto Shop, has been a really big help, along with our many other sponsors who have been a big help. And that's the one thing that we want, is to ensure that it's free for everyone. So as long as you're buying food and all the other stuff, that's out of your own pocket. But from parking to walking around the park, exchanging with our reenactors, watching the battle, that is completely free to the public, which makes it open and adaptable for people of all ages.
Well, you mentioned food, so we do have to ask, will there be root beer and
The root beer will be here this year. I can tell you, we had people who came, for the event. We're super excited they came back the past 2 years. But since there was no root beer, the whole event was a shame. They brought their bottles, they were going home. I made sure that we had got them back. They're from Kansas City, so they have quite a drive to come up here, and we're excited to have them back. And we have a variety of other new things this year, which include a walking tour. I believe 10 a.m. each day, we'll have a walking tour, because a lot of people come and they only go to the battle, right? They will go to the battle or they walk History Lane, and they don't see all of the other things that the event has to offer, or even going all the way back to the military camps. So this year we'll actually take you and interact with some of these different living historians throughout the park and take you all the way back through the earthworks, and you'll hear from different people along the way and learn a little about the event.
So what do you need right now? Do you need volunteers or donors or anything
Sure.
else?
We always take volunteers. We have a large event, one of our largest festivals in Jackson County. So we're always looking for volunteers, people to get involved and work at the booths, help with the parking lot and such like that. Our Boy Scouts do a great job, but there's only so many of them, so if people are definitely interested, we always look for volunteers, which they can register at civilwarmuster.org.
Well, we can only hope that the weather for the Civil War muster is going to be as
Absolutely.
beautiful as it was for this past weekend.
Absolutely. The past 2 years have been really great, other than the storm we got hit with right before the event last year. And so we've been really lucky, and we're hoping for that again. The ball was a big hit last year. We held it at the Cascade Falls, and to be able to see the ball take place there in front of the falls and the weather hold out for us was a really big thing to see. So we're excited.
All right, get that weekend on your calendar and make plans to go to the Cascades. How many years now is this?
37.
Wow.
37 years it has been going here.
It's awesome. And I know Jim Guerrero, who watches our show every day, was one of the founding fathers of the muster, and I know he's really proud at how it's maintained and grown over these years.
Very good.
Well, thanks for coming in, and thanks
course.
for working on the muster.
Always. Happy to do it.
The director of the Jackson Civil War Muster and the president of the Jackson County, Michigan Historical Society, Maurice Imhoff.